Hello, my knowledgeable kindergarten students. This is Mrs. Rowley with this week's topic of discussion. I'm a little bit bummed out because I just got done watching the Patriots game and they lost. So that means they're not going to the Super Bowl. Boo-hoo. All right, enough crying about football. Let's get into this week's topic of discussion. Okay, so last week's vocabulary definition looked like this. It had 4 planes and then another plane was behind them, not colored in at all. So the vocabulary word that I was looking for was one more. There is one plane that is being added to this mix. But in speaking with Mrs. Danilick, she told me that from her classroom, some really great discussion happened. And students are really talking about how they knew this was one more or why they thought it was one less. She said the arguments were so compelling that I think it's really important, more important, that you guys had some really good discussion about it. And so even if you wrote one less as a vocabulary word on your answer ticket, I counted it anyway. Good job discussing. And if you thought it was one less, really good job providing evidence as to why you thought it was one less. If it was one less, there probably would have been an X over it to indicate that it didn't count anymore in the set. That's just for future reference. But great job having a discussion about it. And Mrs. Sullivan's class, I thought you did a really good job with this as your first vocabulary definition and word too. Good work, kindergarten. Your question last week was to show one way to make 12. Now I saw a lot of good ways to make 12. One way I saw was some students, they filled up a 10 frame and then they continued on. So they knew that when the 10 frame was filled, there would be 10 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We didn't really need to count those. Once the 10 frame is filled, we know automatically that there's 10 within the frame. And then they just counted on 1, 2. So they knew there was 10 in the first frame, 2 in the second, and altogether they had 12. If you showed me this way, fantastic job. But if you showed me another way, you did a great job too. I loved seeing the number sentences that you guys put together for this particular topic of discussion. Let's go on to this week's topic. Your answer ticket this week looks like this. There's a place for the vocabulary as always, and then on the other side there is a line of elephants in it. Take this time to write your name on your answer ticket. Remember to always write your name because I would love to give you credit. Go ahead, write your name. All right, let's look at the vocabulary definition this week. In the vocabulary, you see a 100 chart, which I'm sure that you have been working with for a little while now. And there is a number, there's a set of numbers that are the color blue, and there are a set of numbers that are the color green. Now, both the numbers that are blue and all of the numbers that are green, they have special names. And the ones that we're looking for this week are the ones that are green. Do you see the arrow right above the 5? And do you see that 5, 15, 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, and 95? They're all colored green. Well, when you have numbers like that are one on top of the other, what is that called? Is that called a row, R-O-W, or is that called a column, C-O-L-U-M-N? What do you think? Are the green numbers a row of numbers, or are they a column of numbers? When you think you have the answer, turn to a friend and discuss what your answer is. What do they think it is? Do they agree with you, or do they disagree with you? It's okay either way. You're just sharing your ideas. Why do you think, if you think it's a row, why do you think it's called that? And if you think it's a column, why do you think that? Turn to your friend, take a couple seconds, and discuss it. When you're ready to write down the vocabulary word, you can write it in the vocabulary part of your answer ticket. If you think the answer or the vocabulary word is row, you'll write R-O-W. If you think the green numbers are a column, you would write column, C-O-L-U-M-N. I put the words there just in case you needed help spelling. Go ahead, write your answer in, and we'll move on to the topic of discussion. All right, the topic of discussion. You have 5 different elephants. They're all in a line. And what I would like you to do is circle the 3rd elephant in line. When you think you know where the 3rd elephant is, go ahead and circle it. And then turn to a neighbor and see if they circled the same elephant. If you circled the same elephant, talk about why you circled that elephant. And if you circled a different elephant than your neighbor, see why they circled the one that they circled. Go ahead, take a second and talk about why you circled the one you circled. All right, now that you have an answer to your topic of discussion and you've talked with your friends about it a little bit, don't forget to take that blank piece of paper that's stapled to your answer ticket and write down why you think what you think. How do you know it's the 3rd elephant in line? I'm not sure. You can show me what you're thinking by words or pictures. Either way will be useful to me. So go ahead and write down your thoughts. Don't forget to talk to your friends about it. And that's it. When you're all set, you can hand your teacher in your ticket and she'll give them to me and I'll give them back to you. I love the way you guys have been thinking and I love what you've been doing with these topic of discussions. Don't forget, don't ask Mrs. Danilek. Don't ask Miss Sullivan. Ask your friends, see what they think, and then turn your ticket in. This has been Mrs. Rowley with this week's topic of discussion.